Here we go then, another episode of the Cape Town Training Diaries. This is the third episode, and since episode number 2, well, we've had a slight problem. Yes, as you can see, I am now one-footed or one-legged, whatever you want to call it, and I'm definitely not on the water at the moment. So this one actually took a while. I filmed it a little while ago, but having to get surgery on the foot and all that sort of commotion, it's sort of dragged on a little bit. And funnily enough, I've not actually got out to film stuff in between because I've had to keep the foot up. Now I'll go see the specialist tomorrow, and then hopefully I should be able to, I'll be back up and running. Just a little few details because I've had a lot of people asking me. I'll just explain it quickly. Lis Franc injury. It's one you don't want to do. It's not a big deal actually when I did it, but it has problems and it takes quite a long time to recover. So Lis Franc, if anyone doesn't know, it's like the midfoot. It's like a midfoot sprain. There's a ligament in the middle of your foot. It's the main sort of weight-bearing ligament for your whole body. So it's quite an important one. It's kind of between your big toe, the bottom of that, and then the next sort of toes, metatarsals, I suppose. That's what they're called. And you can do it various different ways. If it's a stable, if it's stable, you don't have to have any screws or anything like that. You just have to, but you have to still not put any weight on it. You have to have a boot like this and do 6 weeks with no weight at all, and that gives that ligament chance to repair. Then it's kind of a slow rehab after that. Mine was actually an unstable one, so there was too big a gap. And it wouldn't have, if I'd have carried on, it probably wouldn't have been in the right place. So they need to put it in the right place, and that involves a big screw. So now I've got some metal in the foot, screwing it together. I've got 6 weeks. I've just done 10 days, pretty much, 10 days of non-weight bearing. I go to see the specialist tomorrow, and hopefully he tells me, yeah, it all looks good, carry on. And then I get this boot off in about 4.5, 5 weeks time. So here you go. That's Lis Franc. If you have had a problem with that midfoot sprain, definitely get these guys check it. It's like a missed injury. People go to A&E, they get an X-ray, and they don't see it. You have to put weight on your foot when you have the X-ray. Really key. You have a weight-bearing X-ray, and that can tell if there's too big a gap and if that Lis Franc has actually been injured. So very important injury. I know Robbie Swift's had 2 of these, both feet, and he's ended up having both feet fused, which is the next level up to having a few screws in it. Justina Schnaddy, she basically had a whole foot messed up, and the Lis Franc was affected then as well. She had loads of screws and wires and stuff, and I know lots of people have done it. There's a whole list of people, but it's a very important injury. So look after your feet, make sure you see the right people, and hopefully it all goes well. What we're going to talk about in this episode is Big Bay. Yes. Back in the day, I think they used to call me Big Bay Ben. I used to like Big Bay. I sailed it quite a lot here in Cape Town. It's got rocks either side. I explained in the first episode, and very smooth patches, so you don't get as much chop as you get at some place like Sunset. So it can be quite fun. The wind doesn't always kick in as strong there as well. So when it's blowing 3-3 weather, you can actually get away with 3-7-4-0. Anyway, we had a really classic Big Bay day the other day. That was when I actually injured myself. Just came up to a wave, and the wave basically turned the board up, like pushed it onto me, and that's when my foot went back on itself, and that's how I did the injury. I just mentioned that. But like I said, there's another guy who got injured. This was a while ago at Scarborough. Adam Lewis, yeah, I know we spoke about him in, again, the other diaries, but an update on that injury. What he thought was a bit of bruising, turns out he ended up going and seeing someone, and it's pretty nasty. Ended up with a grade 2 sprain with 2 torn ligaments, another ruptured one, loads of bruising to the bone. Physio said don't go sailing, but before he had this news, he went for a session at Big Bay, and this was super windy, like I say, a classic Big Bay day. So let's have a look at Adam Lewis, and this is with this ankle, not good. You can imagine how much pain he was in, and he was limping around a little bit, but I think he was kind of like, man up, man, I'm going to man up. And he went straight off the beach and just launched a huge backy. It wasn't like a little one, just take it easy. And he didn't land it too good. And I thought, oh man, that's not so good. But then he started getting it together. I had a couple more backies, which you could see he didn't want to sort of land them too flat, trying to land them super deep, so you don't put too much pressure on your ankle, and that's why he's fallen off. Then he took the old foot out, and you're thinking, surely that's not a good idea to take your foot out with that ankle injury, but he did, and he had some absolute sick ones, like full extension on the one-footed backies. You've got to say, pretty impressive with the, a really messed up ankle. He did have one towards the end, though, which was looking a bit painful and could have ended in a few tears, that's for sure. That's not what you want to do with a bad ankle. So yeah, Lewis, but when you talk about Adam Lewis, you've got to talk about his wave riding as well. Even at Big Bay, waves a bit crumbly sometimes, but he was getting some decent buckets. Oh yeah, spray of the day. I was going to do a feature on that, but I haven't quite finished the little jingle and the little thing. But don't worry, spray of the day or buckets, I'm not sure what it's going to be called yet, will also be coming and adding to the list of the rest of the ones. I got a lot planned with this foot injury at the moment, but I'm going to get on it. But Adam Lewis, like I say, chucking up some nice buckets, big spray, and he was also getting some nice 360s, even off not the best sections, but just pinging around like a little 360 to start the wave, and then goes down, good bit of spray, working and getting some decent actual quite long wave rides. A couple of 360 right at the end of one of them as well, sort of bum checks and just bounces through. But yeah, decent, just getting nice wraps, getting the fins almost coming straight back towards the beach on some of his turns. So Adam Lewis, despite injuring his foot ankle, he hasn't actually sailed since that day. I'm not sure if he did himself any more injuries, but he was sailing pretty good. He was a bit disappointed I was sailing, but when you look at his injury and what you see in there, yeah, pretty good. Although I don't think we should talk about the dub. Yeah, like I said, let's not talk about the double. But let's talk about someone else who's been injured, another Scarborough victim. Like I say, that beach break at Scarborough has taken a few people down. One of them, Moritz Mauk. Again, I've probably talked about that in the last Diaries, but he's been struggling a little bit. He kind of got a big dead leg. But he went out for a little bit, didn't do any jumps. He's not famous for doing too many jumps, but busted out a beautiful, nice goiter on the inside, which is quite an onshore wave, but obviously Moritz, he's back in Pozo now, and that's kind of his local spot, so Big Bay, a little bit onshore, suits him down to the ground. Next guy we're going to talk about, who hangs around with Moritz and that? Well, to be honest, the two guys have been hanging around, or three guys have been hanging around together here, Marc Pare, Julian Salmon, and they were all at Big Bay, obviously. So I think firstly we're going to talk about Julian. Again, we didn't catch him doing many jumps, but on the inside, he was going to town. He was getting some nice aerials again, like he loves to wave ride. I've talked about it again before on the live stream and on the Diaries, but he broke his leg pretty badly a few years back, and it kind of put him off jumping, and he was working on his wave rides, and he's got that sort of little air tacker inside. He's got those aerials on the inside, and he's looking pretty good. It's going to be interesting to see how he comes along on the World Tour this year, because he's definitely got some of the really good moves on the waves. But Marc Pare, let's talk about him, because if there's one guy who's going to light up the skies, it is this fella. He's newly sponsored by Simmer Boards. Actually, he's always been sponsored by Simmer Sails, but he's got Simmer Boards now, and he has been putting them through their paces over here in Cape Town, like you probably saw in the first video. He is just going massive, and at Big Bay, he was getting some whoops from the crowds. It was like watching fireworks. He was just fanging out and looking for the peakiest one. He was on a 4.5 metre sail. Now, that's not a big sail, but when you realise everyone else is on 3.7s, 4.0s, you think, my God, and he wasn't holding back. Just huge forwards, like absolutely massive.
Got some speed to this one. Go! Flipping Laura! That was an...
Yes, I mean, just absolutely insane. Just probably one of the best techniques of stalled forwards that you will see. If you're going to copy anyone's style, you may as well copy Marc Pare's style, because it is absolutely gets that mast over to windward and just rotates, and just check the landings. They're just so perfect. I think I saw him crash one the whole day, and he kind of just went a little bit early.
Oh, too early. Too early.
But he's also got, like, you know, that back loop technique down as well. It's a real vertical back loop. So he goes up, he kind of turns it right at the top, and then just comes straight down. You always go a little bit deep when you do that, but it just looks so sweet, and you can go massive on that sort of type of backy. You see him do the one-footed backies as well, but you know, they're the two sort of main jumps he's got. Now he's trying to step it up with the push forwards and the doubles. And I've been bigging him, you know, egging him on a little bit because, you know, I've done a fair few push forwards in my time, and we were going through some old videos the other day, and I was saying, look, the old man can do them, come on, son. And he was like, right, that's it, I'm going out there. And he was going out, and he was putting it down. Didn't quite go, he nearly killed himself on the one, that's for sure. He comes up, you know, rotates, but instead of getting the rig across, I've told him he needs to get the rig across more. It's a little bit too vert, and then when he rotates, it just goes straight down. And luckily, he bails and kind of escapes an absolute nailing. I had one actually the other week. I don't think I actually put it in the diaries, but from Sunset Beach with a similar one where he nearly, well, he did just come straight down head first on the sail. And that was nasty. So he's not had a good sort of warm-up for these push forwards. Since I filmed this video, he said he's rotated around a few, landed on his back. He's not sailed away yet, but he's actually pulled the trigger and rotated, so he was pretty chuffed. And like I say, the other big move he's going to have to land if he wants to step in to that sort of elite stage of the PWA is the double forward. You need consistency. Yes, he's pulling some off, but he needs consistency. And he was a little bit overpowered. He wasn't quite right, and he was getting frustrated with there was too many people, but he thought, right, I'm going to pull the trigger anyway. And anyone knows who does doubles, if you pull it and you're not 100% set, don't pull it. And he pulled it, and just check out the outcome.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, not good at all. Not good at all. I was thinking, oh my God, that could have gone so wrong. But he escaped death, which was, you know, that was good enough, I think. Also that day, like I said, he's got the moves on the inside as well. He's got, you know, goiters going down. He's had a couple of nice dismounts. I think he had one on one of the waves where he sort of tries this flaunch and kind of has to go out the front door. That was quite a nice dismount. I like it. And then one on the inside where I think he does like a little swan dive into about 2 inches of water. That could have been nasty. So he was definitely chirping all the crowds up. He did have, I got to say, the nearest miss I saw all day. Well, actually, not the nearest miss. I saw Yup Smith, I think, run over someone. I caught the end of it, but I'm pretty sure at the corner of my eye I saw Yup Smith run over someone. Maybe you can comment and tell me if it was actually that what happened, or maybe the guy can. But Marc Pare, goiter, and how did he miss? How did he miss this person? I mean, it must be inches, centimetres away. There's not much in that, and I bet that guy had a bit of a scare, that's for sure. So Marc Pare, you know, he's got the vision on, got the blinkers on, and he's just in the zone. But he's been pulling off some nice stuff on the inside. But when we talk about Marc Pare, we've already talked about his, you know, big jumps, his forwards, his back, his inside wave rides. But we've got to mention. Yes, he is one of the ultimate rocket men, and Big Bay was no different. He was just launching some big old rockets, some big floaty jumps. He even laid down the one-footed rocket. Oh yeah, one-footed floaty jump. Obviously I think he was going for a backy, but still just nails out the nice floaty jump. So there you go, you know, the big man always laying down the rockets. Everyone loves a good rocket. So we're going to move on now from Marc Pare, and we're going to go deep down and dirty with the Club Vass crew. Now, oh God, here it goes. Oh God,
Nice!
oh my God!